everyone, I hope you're good, guy. Welcome to a new video. So today a rack a little bit special, probably my favorite rack so far that I've created. It's called Noise Rhythm, and basically the principle is very simple. You take a very noisy kind of source. Here we're gonna use wavetable, and then you apply an amplitude envelope with a short decay, and then we're gonna modulate this short decay in order to creating movement and to creating like kind of a rhythmical noise. You're gonna see as well you can do way much more than that, and you can really experiment with this rack, can make it sound more like a synth. So yeah, let's have a listen first, then I will recreate the rack from scratch and give you tips along the track, and then after I will show you as well each element of the project if you wanna find out more. So yeah, let's have a listen. So here again, we are in Ableton Live 11. And the reason why is because, again, for this rack, I use variation like in my previous video, but more about that later. So let's have a listen how it sounds. So all of this noisy kind of very rhythmical noise, but you can do as well things that sound a bit more like a synth. Right, the horn is not from this rack, but you get the idea, this kind of very rhythmical, raw, noisy texture effect. And yeah, let's recreate that from scratch. So we're gonna need wavetable, and we're gonna need as well an arpeggiator. The reason being is this rack works well with a kind of a 16 cloud hat patterns, so you want something like which repeat very fast, so 116. And so I want a noisy wavetable, so by default for the rack I choose the swept tree, but I really recommend to experiment with all of different kind of wavetable because you get different kind of tone. You can have more like synth sound if you go, for example, with the basic shape. You go with the square, the triangle, you get different texture. You can as well import sample. For example, you can import a ride here and kind of having these very metallic kind of noisy things. So yeah, just here usually I always use the FM, and I put always the tune and the amount at the maximum because there is no really noise, so to speak, in wavetable by default. Anyway, here is not really what you want. Here you want a metallic kind of noise, so that's why I choose this texture. And we're gonna use a bandpass filter, and we're gonna put it 24 dB, but we're gonna bring up the resonance a little bit. So then we can start to already group a little bit. So the arpeggiator stay like this. So obviously it's on 16, but you can experiment with other rate. Gate need to be at 93, and then we can map the first macro, which is the filter. So this one, if you want to go high in the frequency, if you want something more noisy metallic, but for example, if later on you work with more like kind of a synth sound, or you can obviously go down and, for example, if this, I'm gonna put a bit of reverb, and you're gonna understand quickly what I said because it's hard to hear. But for example, you don't need especially to do like noisy metallic rhythm. You can do like more synth sound. Well, here's not the point. First, we're gonna focus on this metallic, and then you want to modify the amp because that's where it's gonna happen, the movement. So you don't want sustain, you want, imagine like, yeah, this rack is kind of a cloud hat with a longer decay that you can modulate. So no release, and you want the decay to be mapped, so we're gonna map to macro 3. And for the attack I choose 30 milliseconds because I didn't want you something too percussive, but obviously this is up to your taste and depend what you're looking for. You can a bit reduce, maybe around 20 if you rather. And so now you can already see. So the idea is to have this movement, but obviously we're gonna don't modulate it manually. You want to have LFO to modulate that. In this case, we're gonna use 2 LFO with different rate and different intensity applied to the GK modulation. So this way is kind of having 2 LFO which gonna create one kind of hybrid new LFO modulating the GK, which kind of create weird rhythm. So we need to go to amp, click on our GK. And then the first LFO, we select 38. So the first GK, we're gonna let the retrig on, and we want it in sync to the BPM. Obviously, if you want to be non-sync, it's up to you. I'm at 100%, and I want the triangle, but I choose it to have it this way, like so up. So here you cannot really hear the effect because we need to implement the LFO2. So for the LFO2, the modulation, I want 27. I'm gonna actually reset this one like this. We're gonna first hear the LFO2. And so this one I don't want to retrigger because we use 16 close hat pattern. You don't want your LFO to retrigger at each step. You want it to be free. So we're still keeping it in sync. And actually we need to map this to macro 8 as well, which is gonna be our rhythm 2, and here on macro 4 is rhythm 1, and it's obviously the rate of the first LFO. All right, now you can hear you already have an interesting rhythm created. This because you have the arpeggiator, which are a certain rate. You can change that and play between the rate of the arpeggiator and the rate of the 2 LFO, which is gonna always kind of create weird. But yeah, I live in 16, and then you can play as well with the GK and LFO speed as well. It's gonna affect the sound. So everything is really tied together. So that's why there is a lot of room for experimentation and really make it your own, because see, it sounds different. And now if we introduce the this one, but if you choose usually the rhythm 1 work well if you have a slower rate on the rhythm 2. All right, so again, you can experiment with different kind of waveform for your LFO, different kind of rate. And actually this one I needed to do the same way. All right, and then that was the main idea. Then after I just add some effects to kind of enhance a little bit the sound. So first thing I add, it's a frequency shifter right after the wavetable. The reason being to being able to pitch, and I apply to macro 2. So just let me rename here and pitch. So that's really nice if you want something very noisy, metallic pitch up. If you want some more like ambience or dark, you pitch down. And you want to be able as well maybe after that to filter again, but we're gonna come back to this later. Then I add some effect to enhance a little bit. So the first thing I've used is the phaser, but obviously it was the phaser from Live 10, which is different than Live 11. So I've just copied and I'm gonna paste it straight away here. I still don't know how this will be translated instantly with Live 11 later on, but I took it from the Live 10 rack basically and I put it inside here. And basically it's a preset I made. It's not really acting as a phaser, it's just an enhancer. It's just make you sounding better. No big deal, but it works well. Second thing I've used is the corpus. So I have a preset that I've made called Bright Key. If you're familiar with my video, you probably already know about it. So it's just a preset one day that I was experimenting, and it's just like all of the key sounds, synth, hats that are more like in the high frequency. It kind of sounds well. Again, just add a bit of harmonic in a certain way. All right, and then we say when we pitch down, if you want to be able to filter that, just go to your auto filter, and then you want to use again the bandpass. Add a bit of resonance, 12 dB. And then you map the frequency to the macro 5. And so here I want it to maybe having another filter modulating on top of that. So I apply the LFO amount to macro 6 and the LFO rate to macro 7. Here I didn't sync the LFO. And what I've done is, because maybe you don't want to use the LFO, the auto filter, the bandpass, so I'm just gonna right click here and I'm gonna assign it to LFO amount. And when I go to map, now I choose the minimum at 1. So now when if you bring the macro down, the auto filter is deactivated, you bandpass. And if you bring up, you have, and now you can modulate it. So again, an extra variation. So then after you can really play and experiment with, and the other final effect I add is I add a basic kind of classic ping pong delay. So that is really up to you as well. You can change the time depending on your pattern. And the reverb, I think it's something maybe a bit longer decay because it's kind of ambient sound. So I mean, again, it depends to you. If you use synth sound, maybe you want a shorter decay. That's up to you, but by default it's the long. And yeah, you have your rack pretty much. So then, like I said, you can change and try. So whatever you so maybe remove the, if you want something more melodic, and the cool thing is because it's arpeggiator, you can play chords. So here on my push, I can play a chord, and you have something completely, which is not anymore a noise rhythm, but who cares? Now I can just press my chord here, and I'm just gonna control U here, and here we go. And we just, that wasn't planned, but actually so that's why I say it's my favorite track, because it's not only like noise rhythm, it's really the principle of having this very short decay that you can modulate by LFO. And this can apply basically to any synth who got true LFO, where you can more or less modulate the way you want. So yeah, the rack is available for free, the link in the description. So you have for Live 10 and you have for Live 11 as well. So now let's have a quick look at the rest of the track if you want to find out more. So I had this kick, which is from my Berlin Techno bank, and it's just with kick verb, kick punch, kick top. So this is, I'm just showing you, this is not the tutorial about how I made the beat. It's just like to show you if you wanna copy exactly the same parameter. And the hats, I use the closer hat, same Berlin Techno sample pack. I put it in the description with the ride. I use my rack, and the pattern is this way. And then I have this kind of rolling bass, which is in G, and I use my basic bass rack. And yeah, bomb bass with add a bit of drive, and I kind of filter because obviously you have the rumble sidechain, and then you have this on, which is from my last on mode rack. I will put it in the description as well, which is playing D as well. And yeah, and then after all of this preset will be included anyway. So if you have Live 10, it will come like you will have preset 1, preset 2, like obviously different kind of presets. And if you have Live 11, they will all come straight away inside the rack. So that's why I'm very excited about this new feature from Live 11. So you get all the variation inside straight away, and you can just like switch from so I put them as example, but I really recommend you to dig into, change the wavetable, and yeah, do your own things. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you soon guys. Bye bye.